Welcome everyone to the November Palos Verdes Democrats general membership meeting. I'm Connie Sullivan, sitting in for our president, Kathy Bradford, today. So the first thing on our agenda is announcements. Okay, well, you can see the agenda here. Announcements and the preview of upcoming meetings. We'll have our featured speaker, Jonathan Zasloff. I'm very excited about having him. He spoke to us in February of 2017. I roped him into that one, but I couldn't attend because I was in Australia, actually. But I heard wonderful things about his presentation, and he agreed to come back and talk to us again. And I'm very much looking forward to what he has to say. And then our last feature will be, Did You Know Where Is Nancy? And that will be presented by Linda Herman. And then after that, Thanksgiving. Okay, fundraiser. Palos Verdes Democrats are, along with that other group of people that you see there, are hosting a fundraiser in Palos Verdes Estates for our Assembly member Al Maritsucci. This is an outdoor event because of COVID, and because the Assembly member is very cognizant of COVID and wants to be very careful. So this is an outdoor event. And you can see the ticket prices there. Everyone is welcome. And I hope you can mark your calendar and come to the event. If you RSVP to Andrew DeBlock there at andrewdeblock@gmail.com, he will provide you the details as to the location of the event. But I'm going to tell you right now, the location is my house. So please be ready to walk on grass, no high heels, please. It's like I said, it's an outdoor event, and we're looking forward to having as many people as possible. We've got a large venue, so the more the merrier. Okay, we can move on.
Before we move on, we sometimes recognize if there's any new members or officers here or candidates.
So we have one candidate that's here, right?
I
didn't see any elected officials.
Patrick
Hare, who is a candidate for Superior Court judge. I'm not sure which seat. Maybe he doesn't know yet. But I presume he's a good Democrat, and that's why he's speaking to our club.
Right.
The LACDP hasn't completed their endorsements yet, so I can't tell you whether he's endorsed by the party yet or not.
So we told Patrick that once the endorsements come through, he can come back next year and give a spiel just like the other candidates who might be endorsed as well by the Democratic Club. But Patrick was here. He introduced himself in September. So we just want people to see his name, see his face. So might just say hello, Patrick.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be back. I used to live Palos Verdes adjacent off of Mermaid and 25th. Very much looking forward to hearing today's discussion about homelessness, and glad to be with you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So December, we're having no meeting. Did I say that? And in January, the meeting will be on the 16th, but we haven't determined who that will be yet. And we will still be doing our meetings via Zoom.
Well, we're not sure if we're going to do a hybrid yet. So
we may do part in person and part by Zoom, but we'll definitely be doing a Zoom component for that. I have a feeling, because there was a surge yesterday, not locally, nationwide, a pretty big jump in the number of new cases. I just have a feeling that we'll be doing it by Zoom again, but.
Yeah. So, but I do, and you might be interested in this. This happened on the West Side. So I have Linda Herman here. Maybe we could share the screen again, Reggie. This is something that happened back in 2015. And Linda knew the parents of the missing woman. So Okay, this is a did you know? So I heard Linda talk about this at a recent League of Women Voters meeting, and I thought it would be very good to share it here in terms of what our supervisor Janice Hahn did in terms of championing this countywide program called LA Found. So I wanted her to talk about it and what the parents of Nancy Polikis.
Yeah.
So this is Linda Herman from League of Women Voters.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anne. I was compelled to speak about it after I went to see a movie at LA Live, I guess a couple of weeks ago. I have known the parents of Nancy for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, it was Joan Polikis who got me involved in the League of Women Voters, to be honest with you, so many years ago. But over the years, we've maintained contact, and I used to walk with Joan in the mornings over many, many years. And as you can see here from what's on the screen, there was a very difficult situation that surfaced back in 2016. Their daughter, who was a brilliant aerospace engineer and entrepreneur, she was top of her class at UC Davis and UCLA, highly respected across the industry, and she was tragically diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Her husband Kirk had his family visiting, and they went to LACMA. And she decided, I guess what actually happened is she went to the ladies' room, and never before had she ever left her husband. They were always side by side when all of this was happening. And for some unknown reason, when she exited from the ladies' room, she walked away, and he couldn't find her that day. And so it was terribly tragic that day, but they thought, well, we're going to find her. And Kirk and his family and his friends and her friends, in an effort to actually locate where she was, gathered together at his home over several months. And they explored various routes that you could have taken. Hopefully finding her. And the tragedy was that it went on for probably a couple of, at least a year, where they visited. I mean, I would walk with Joan and she would tell me that they were going to visit a homeless encampment or a memory care facility or a nursing home. And they did this over an extended period of time. And Janice Hahn, the reason I wanted to mention this was because it shows that when you get involved in trying to make a difference in your world, you really can if you get politically involved. So what happened actually is that it was, and you may remember all the stories about Where is Nancy, you remember her picture being in the newspaper here locally, because the parents lived in Palos Verdes Estates. Nancy went to PV High. So, I mean, it was something of importance to our community, and so many of us knew her. So Janice Hahn saw in the newspaper about what was happening at their home, and she went over to visit them while it was going on. It was one of those evenings when all of the friends and family were close by. I saw the pictures of it. They had maps all over the wall, and they were determining routes for everybody to go to try and find Nancy. Well, they never did. What they did determine is that the constant search that these mathematicians and engineers learned, that there was a tremendous gap in the U.S. in the social and health system here in terms of finding somebody. If she's alive, where is she? And they couldn't find that out. They eventually actually found her remains up in the San Fernando Valley about a couple of years later. But what had happened in the meantime is that in talks with Janice Hahn, there was an effort made to establish some legislation that would enable them to actually locate these kinds of individuals. And there was some legislation passed at the county level that allowed them to, the program was that they would, if you reported somebody in your family who has Alzheimer's and was lost, and you could locate them, you would report that individual to the particular program called LA Found, and they would put an identifying bracelet around that individual, and hopefully they would keep it on, which is one of the other issues of concern. But the way they could be found, if they have this bracelet on, is that there is a helicopter up above that is able to track the bracelet, and then they notify somebody down on the ground that where they think this individual is located, and they can try and track them down by foot or by car, I guess. In the movie, which was very, very moving, there was a gentleman there whose wife had come down with Alzheimer's, and he reported her to LA Found, and they were able to find her. So I was so moved by, first of all, by all the efforts made by the family and friends over an extended period of time to try and find this individual who they so loved. And then to see the end result of some legislation being passed that would enable this program to move forward and to begin, and then to move forward in identifying those who come down with Alzheimer's in Los Angeles County. So thank you for the opportunity to present this information. And her husband, I should also add that her husband has gotten really involved as well. He is now serving as the chair of the technical committee of LA Found, and is also on the board of directors of the Los Angeles chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And so it just showed to me that, you know, if you really work together with people who care, and you lobby our legislators who also really care, you can really make a difference. And it was a very touching movie. And I was really pleased I just felt an obligation to mention it, because I think it's so important that we can make a difference. So thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
For
No,
I
thank you for presenting that today. I think it does. And it's just not for Alzheimer's, it's also for people who have people with autism, or just people who can walk away from your house and you want to track them. And
right.
So I just thought that was important. So while you're on, Linda,
how do you get a bracelet for a relative like this?
through LA Found, the
Right, exactly.
organization.
Through LA Found, yeah. I think if you call Janice Hahn's office, then they would refer you to the, I can find the right number for you if whoever is asked the.
Yeah, we could put the link, but if you just Google LA Found, that's how I found it as well.
Speaking of Janice Hahn, I don't know if any of you are paying attention to the redistricting of the supervisorial districts, but I think it's highly likely that we are going to be losing Janice Hahn after December when the redistricting happens. And we might be I think it's highly likely we'll be in the 3rd district, which is Sheila Kuehl. And we'll be in the same district with this portions of the San Fernando Valley. I mean, it's just kind of a crazy district that it looks like, because other parts of the county, they're trying very hard to create a second Latino district, which is important.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
It's important too, because, you know, almost 40% of the people in LA now are Latino, and they deserve to have 2 representatives at some point. But because what they're doing in the eastern side of the county then puts pressure on what they do in the western side of the county. And I think we're going to lose Janice, and I don't want that. I think she's been an awesome supervisor. Not that Sheila Kuehl's bad, she's not. In fact, all the supervisors are pretty awesome. But anyway, get ready for that. That's how it's looking right now.
Yeah, our local League of Women Voters has been focusing on the supervisors district. So
I gave testimony last Wednesday, and I just noticed they quoted me in the newspaper in the Breeze, because I was actually the only South Bay person speaking. You know, it's mostly the East Side folks, and they're really pushing for this one map, and they organized, and we don't have much organization going on over here. So
I did want to, since Linda was still on, but just before, Linda, we also have on our Palos Verdes Democrats website about the League of Women Voters webinar coming up December 4th on the California Marine Protected Area. So if people...
Which conflicts with our fundraiser.
Right.
Oops.
I understand that, but I just wanted to let people know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I wanted to let people know that it conflicts with our fundraiser.
It is obvious it conflicts, but for those who are just donating to the fundraiser and might want to watch the webinar.
That's
It
fine.
should, it should be an excellent, it should be excellent. Yeah.
If I may, we've got a few more minutes, and Tony Hale is our representative to the California Democratic Party Executive Board, and he could give us a quick report. If he can unmute.
I unmuted. I did it. All right. Well, thank you. Well, there's been a lot going on with the state party. Notably, earlier this month, there was a special meeting of the executive board of the California Democratic Party called on by members that were trying to set a policy from the floor of the party. And there's been a lot of controversy over this issue. And so I'd like to explain what I believe happened and why I voted the way I did. So first off, there were two motions made at this special meeting. One was to call for the California Democratic Party not to take fossil fuel money anymore, and another one to not take money from police associations anymore. Now, the state party stopped taking oil money many years ago, and there's been an evolution on this issue where natural gas at one time was a transition fuel, and so they took money from natural gas producers. But a year ago, the party stopped taking that money. And a year ago, the party stopped taking money from police associations. So what was up for a vote at that meeting was whether we were going to make the decision to set this policy from the floor from activists who wanted to set the policy, or if we were going to use the committee process, which we've always used in the party, to make these decisions. And so it came to a vote, and a strong majority of the executive board voted to allow a special finance committee that was set up to evaluate all the funding of the California Democratic Party to process all these issues and look at all the money taken in by the party. The bottom line is that we were already not taking this money. But the question was how we were going to set that policy from a motion from the floor or through the committee process that the party's always used. So we voted to do it through the committee process. And unfortunately, there are still some people out there saying that we refuse to stop taking fossil fuel money, we refuse to stop taking police money, but we had already stopped. And there's a committee that's setting the policy for how we're going to look at all the money and decide how we can create new revenue so that we are not dependent upon those sources anymore. So that took place, and there's been a lot of controversy. If anybody wants to email me, I'll be glad to answer specific questions about it. I just came from our regular executive board meeting just before this meeting, where we didn't have anything too earth-shaking, but we only had about 15 resolutions and some bylaw changes that we worked on. And we heard a report from what's called our JEDI committee, was working on understanding the how we interact with each other and conduct ourselves with sensitivity to all people's identities and create a more sensitive party. But anyway, I did want to explain about the vote at the E-Board about the funding. I think we have to remember that just the other day, the largest expenditure to address climate change was made by Democrats in history. Our party is committed to addressing climate change, and it's committed to making our funding match its values. And so the party is on a progressive track to change this country. But we must win. And that's how we made this achievement just the other day, was by winning. So we must guarantee that we win. Our democracy is at stake in the next election, and the climate is at stake as well. So I hope we'll continue to support the Democratic Party with all its shortcomings, because I believe we are the best hope for our nation. And thank you for giving me the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tony.
So Anne, have we completed our agenda?
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's one other thing that's coming up that we have posted on our website. It's for the Indivisible South Bay Holiday Party. So if you want information about that, can't see anybody, unless anybody here wants to talk about it. But anyway, it's on our website on December 1st at Smog City Brewery. And that's it. So this is, I didn't have anything else. Is anybody else have any other announcements before we call it a?
I just wanted to announce that TRAA is doing some texting polling and would welcome volunteers. We're texting. We're probably going to be doing some writing, maybe some calling on how important this issue is, and whether it should be an issue in the Torrance election. And probably some of that are also going to be doing in at least one assembly district. So if you're interested, contact us at our website, tra.website, and we'd love to have some more help.
Okay.
And just on that, I've been helping with that texting, and the response has been at least 100 to 1 in support of transitioning the refinery from this dangerous chemical of MHF to a much safer chemical that would eliminate this threat.
Terrific. Great news. We'll have to keep updating at our meetings. Thank you, everybody.